This week we've got some questions on damaged horses. So these are horses that are really struggling because of a past that they've had. They've gone to new homes and people can see that they're just not how they should be. So Mark's going to help just tease out some of the reasons behind what causes the damage and also how we can help progress them and rebuild the confidence that they've lost. Hello, welcome to Mark Langley's Horsemanship Podcast, a podcast helping people to understand their horses better, to provide solutions in a calm, connected way. I'm Jenny Langley.
And I'm Mark Langley.
Mark, your first question comes from Tovi from Canada. She's been training horses and helping people with their horse problems for more than 35 years. And about 2 years ago, she accidentally came across a clip of yours which explained your philosophy about driving pressure. That piqued her curiosity and she's joined the online membership where she said everything that you said made so much sense. Now, the changes in the horses and the people that she has interacted with since incorporating your ideas has been extremely rewarding. She read a book, True Unity, by Tom Dorrance, and that was one of the first horse training books that she read a long time ago. And although she enjoyed it, she wanted him to tell her more about how to actually do it. Now, she's since reread the book and realised that your explanations have truly brought that book to life. So there's obviously a huge amount of crossover between what you're doing and Tom Dorrance's message. But through the online training videos, people are able to see what you're able to do, which is really interesting. Now, she is working at the moment with a 4-year-old quarter horse mare that's come from, and she says, a traditionally harsh barrel racing training environment. But despite that, she's surprisingly friendly, responsive, calm, and confident at a walk. But as soon as she's asked to trot, she falls apart and panics. So Toby would love some help on this one. She's thinking that it will take time and it will take consistent handling, but is there any specific ideas you have to help overcome her anxiety? And Toby just finishes saying, thank you for your brilliant insights. She loves listening to the podcast. So thanks so much, Toby. That's some fantastic thoughts from you and your experiences and how Mark has helped you. Mark, before you answer the question, I just wondered if you could just briefly let us sort of shed some light on why I don't want to criticise barrel racing, but why would a sort of a fast racing environment possibly damage a horse? What is going on there to trigger responses that are negative?
Oh, it's a whole bunch of things, and depends on how competitive they barrel race or do anything. But if you look at all the timed events, and when I used to help kids in pony club, the ponies that were sort of winning all the ribbons in the timed events, the super fast ponies that were really good at those timed events, if you looked at them in other areas of pony club, they sort of weren't so good in the other hacking areas and stuff like that. So they were sort of, they were chewing the bit, jumping the gun, ready to do their timed event flat out, so they could do it very fast. And but they became very hot, and they sort of like used the term that I would use as they kind of cooked them a little bit because it was high octane, galloping fast, fast energy sort of stuff, and it really adrenalizes the horses. And I believe a lot of horses that are in like a pony club environment, a barrel racing environment, there's a competition, there's a lot of horses around, there's a lot of new stimulant, and there's a lot of things in those environments that can cause a lot of concern, and then they're asked to go really fast on a timed event. And if you watch, a lot of people, they to get that extra bit of speed that they're trying to get out of their horse, they're really pushing them, bumping them, spurring them, hitting them with the stick, and it almost becomes there's a point of just sensory overload, and also they're getting chased up a fair bit sometimes to get the best times in. It doesn't have to be like that. I think more time on good foundation and actually creating a balance of education and understanding in a horse. So you do so much of the high octane fast work, but then you can build the horses up to that so they're not kind of fully adrenalized. yeah, there's a lot of green horses and young horses get asked to go out in those environments and compete at a fast kind of speed and a fairly high level, somewhat without the education and the foundation that they need. So that's why it's quite difficult for them. But yeah, any of the horses that have to get to full speed quickly, quite often in that environment under certain pressure, and also with a certain lack of education and understanding, will end up kind of fried in the mind. And what ends up happening is it becomes like a post-traumatic stress syndrome. As soon as you press a certain trigger, then all of a sudden, like I'll give you an example, at a clinic a while ago, there was a big ex-race horse, and he was doing really nice. I was really happy with what she was getting done, and in the walk trot, and she ventured into the canter in the sand arena without anyone around. It was an individual lesson, and the other horses weren't far away, just in their yards and stuff. And he was doing really nice, and he looked, I believe, all in all, he looked quite comfortable going around. And I thought, wow, he's handling the forward pretty good. He's going up through the gears. He's not hotting up, because some of the race horses, just like you said, the ex-barrel racer, as soon as you put the speed on, that's when she triggers. Well, this horse didn't trigger too much. I was happy with the expression and the way he was processing. The next day, all we did was add another three horses into the arena, 3 or 4 horses actually, into the arena, and he was just going to walk around 3 or 4 horses while the others were moving around. Well, just at a walk, we hit the post-traumatic syndrome stress trigger, and he just went off his dial, and he couldn't regulate, he couldn't follow a rein, he just couldn't do anything. He was just no, like just completely. And we didn't ask him to go fast at all. All we did was have other horses moving around with riders on them in his environment in the same arena. So that triggered him enough that there was nothing we could do through the reins to help him let go of strong thoughts. So what we did is we took him up to his yard, where he was had been yarded each night for 3 nights by then. And the only place we could actually sit on him under saddle and get him to calm down is in the yard that he spent most of his time, where he ate and where he drank. And he started to calm down and start to be able to steer and just walk around and follow the rein a little bit. And that was the only thing we could do to get him to come down under saddle. I was trying to see if he could come down a bit under saddle and just have another trigger to counteract the trigger that sent him off. But when it becomes a flip switch, it can be very hard to help horses. And I'm thinking I'm knowing your flip trigger with your horse, and by the looks of it, your horse has got when you put the accelerator on, that's when they can't handle speed, because it's been an emotional blast every time they've gone fast. The first thing I go, well, not only so okay, think of it like this. Even a young horse, it doesn't matter if they've been barrel raced or not, there's 2 things that have to work hand in hand with each other, and that's the feel of a rein, and the horse trusting the guidance of the rein, and the horse trusting the feel of the accelerator. So I'm going to talk about the lower leg, don't worry about the seat or anything like that, because there's a high chance your horse has been hit with the spurs quite a few times to get off the line fast, and then all of a sudden it's been starting to run away from the leg. So if that is, and I'd use that as a high probability situation, so I'd say that your horse needs to trust the accelerator again. So the accelerator is not a trigger, so it's not just the speed that's a trigger, it's what got the horse to speed that can be the trigger. So I won't work a horse at speed and try and get it to relax at speed unless I've worked on what got it to that speed, which is the accelerator. So I want you to really think about what I just said then, and I want everyone to think about that, because the one common thing I see is people get their horse to speed and then they try and relax their horse at speed, like maybe doing a cooling turn to get the horse to let go of a thought and soften into the rein and slow down in the reins and relax, and slow down in the reins and relax, and turn and relax, and cooling circles. And some people do one rein stops and whatever. So every time the horse blows up and goes a bit fast, they use the reins to relax them down. The horse blows up, they use the reins to relax them down. If you want to wear all your good hard work that you've done in the reins out, poke the horse with a cattle prodder, which is your legs, and then tell it to relax in the reins. It seems a bit counterproductive trying to make the horse relax in the reins when you've just poked it with a cattle prodder. So when you put the legs on, it should not feel like a cattle prodder to your horse. So the things I'd go back to, and with those horses that have a hair trigger when it comes to leg aid and going to speed, as I say, work on the accelerator first. So a belly rope, really good lesson to get the horse to understand the feel on its rib cage and start to process and control the pressure. Controlling the pressure is very important for horses. So it sounds like we control the pressure because we're the ones pulling the belly rope, and it seems like we're controlling it. But once we pull up on that belly rope, the horse will wriggle and wobble, and then when you can see them controlling the pressure in a soft way where they're actually saying, oh, I move forward and the pressure gently releases, and I bind up and it strengthens, and I relax and go forward and it releases, then they start to control that rib cage pressure. And then as they start to become soft at those transitions in the belly rope, then you can bring them up to walk into jog and jog into a faster trot, and then even work up to sort of up into a canter just through the feel of a belly rope, so that you're trying to take away that cattle prodder trigger that they have from leg pressure that shoots them out like a cannonball, and you turn it into a nice controlled accelerator. Once you've worked on that, then you do the same thing, or you feel and see the feeling in your horse, you feel it for yourself, and then you aim for the same feeling when you add your legs. So I always use my lower leg to accelerate a horse till they're very comfortable with it. Seat and all that stuff comes later. But when the horse can move softly to the lower leg, just one step at a time, 2 steps, walk into jog, come back, and the same, the rib cage pressure, the horse just relaxes and goes forward into a faster speed, and you just go back to doing lots of leg transitions. Ride without a seat, just show your horse legs, 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 until the horse goes, gee, I love legs, they're great. I'm not scared of them anymore. I'm really happy with them. If you've done that, then you'll go back up through your speeds, and you find your horse might have another level of softness that it didn't have, and understanding. And then, as I said before, instead of having that effect of hit you with the cattle prodder, relax you with the reins, hit you with the cattle prodder, relax you with the reins, you'll go, I squeeze with you, I squeeze the leg, and the accelerator relaxes you, and then I don't have to keep relaxing you with the reins because you've done well in the legs and you're not stressed. Then you got the reins in case the horse gets a bigger spook, like, holy cow, there's a big truck over there. Oh, well, I can relax you in the reins and come back and let go of that thought. So then you can use the reins still for all the other big problems that might happen that might stress your horse, instead of stressing it with legs, relaxing it with reins. So if you can think about that and work on that and just get the horse comfortable at thinking into the next speed. That's another thing I want you to think about, is get closer to the accelerator, so much so that you can get the horse to think the next speed before its feet go into the next speed. And that's usually more easy to sort of find at the trot, the trot, the walk to the trot. When the horse walks up, you just slowly bring it up in the walk till it's at its fastest walk. And then when it goes, I'm thinking about trotting, if it's thinking about trotting and it looks all kind of like, and feels all stressed, then you're going to go, no, well, I'm not going to trot now because you're too stressed. And I'm going to bring you back to the bottom of the walk, and I'm going to walk you up again till you think trot. And the horse goes, oh, I'm thinking trot. Oh, no, you're not quite ready to trot. Let's go back to the bottom of the walk and go back up again until the horse goes, I'm thinking about a soft trot. And you go, well, you can trot soft if you like. And that's one of the best sort of things I've found. It helps a lot of horses. And, there's on the last month of videos, there was a horse that Gemma was riding, and on the previous 6-day clinic, that horse had a very explosive rush, same as what you're dealing with. As soon as you put the accelerator on, it just wanted to shoot out. And we did a lot of work with that horse with just thinking the trot. Oh, that's a good thought, you can trot now. But a lot of work on the legs too, and understanding the legs.
So, Toby, there's videos on the membership site about using that rope around the belly rope. There's also videos on the acceleration and getting horses comfortable to legs. So if you put in the search bar those things, or you can look through the series, you'll see them. There is quite a lot on there just actually covering that sort of, it's quite a wide-ranging topic, but they are related to the same things. So those 3 things to work on. Mark, your next question's from Anna. She's got a 9-year-old rescue horse. Anna's from Cyprus. And this 9-year-old mare has had some very bad experiences, very scared of people. But Anna's found that from the beginning she trusts her, and they go out in a in-hand daily walk, and they started out with long reins. So she can trim her, groom her, worm her, saddle her, all at liberty in the paddock. And she was quite surprised. Her previous trimmer described her as a crazy horse. But the problem is that she doesn't sort of trust or obey anyone else except her. She went away recently, and she found out that when she came home, the people who were looking after her tried to catch her by chasing her, which of course those methods didn't really help. They've made her more scared, and she can get quite aggressive. She's found it hard to explain to people how to sort of work in the way that you do. I guess they're stuck in their own thinkings, their own sort of history of knowing how they handle horses, different culture, and you're a long way away from Cyprus. Her question, though, is quite an interesting one. How do you get a horse like her to help her trust people who don't use your sorts of methods? Then they're not going to. They're going to put pressure on her and chase her and be a bit rough with her, or, how do you help a horse trust people like that?
Okay, so I want to sort of mention something. My methods are not, yes, there's a lot of, it's not really a method, it's just, I guess you could call it whatever you want to call it, it's a mindset more than anything. But I want to make this very clear, is if there's like, I'm not trying to make people gurus so they can listen and be very observant and do everything right for their horse. I want them to be very observant and thoughtful and feel and see what horses go through to work out what's going to help them the most. But I don't want people to become gurus so much so that they're the only ones that can handle their horses, okay? So so the one thing I'd like people not to sort of have to revert to is chasing horses around to get a response, or driving them, or constantly having to kind of carry them with whatever, driving pressure, but at the same time, I don't want a horse to be able to not cope with someone running up to them with big energy. And that's why I don't constantly drive horses. So if you take on board my principles if you take the whole side of my principles on board, and I want everyone to think about this, is we're actually giving the horse education that actually helps them live in the mosh pit of humans and life, and cope with it with a more softer mind, so they can cope with your neighbour who's running over in a hurry, and they can cope with the farrier who doesn't have time to sort of, spend half an hour sitting with your horse before it can put shoes or trim it or anything like that. We're trying to empower horses with education that sees them through. Even if you weren't there, the horse is okay with it. So I want everyone to think about that. It's not about us becoming so good at reading horses that the horse can only cope with us. Okay. So that being said, then I go on to, a horse like yours. It's been abused, it's been chased, it's been whatever happened to it. Okay. So basically, if it's had all that stuff happen to it, it's going to be very scared of someone walking up to it in a hurry. Okay. So a lot of people have to get a trimmer who's very good for their horse at the detriment of the horse's feet. The best trimmer may not be the best horse listener, but geez, they're good at getting the horse's feet and skeleton right, so the horse is sound. I would want the trimmer who's best for the horse's skeleton and feet, not the best guru trimmer. So how do we make your horse a guru? Okay, so the first thing you've got to start to do is recognise that if you over listen to your horse's anxiety and constantly do something where you adjust to your horse's anxiety to help it feel better, then you may keep it in that rut for longer. So there's a point where you're going to have to say, well, I'm coming up to you in a hurry, I'm moving around you in a hurry, and the horse is going to get frightened and not understand that. But it's not going to die by you doing that, and it's going to have to recognise that at some stage. So a lot of those horses that have been traumatized, because they've been chased with driving pressure, they see a person coming at them in a hurry as a threat. So the first thing I would do with most of those horses is work walk around with normal energy, and when I see the horse brace and get a little frightened, I might just keep walking up to it and have it freeze and have its eyes popping out of its head, and then I might just touch it quietly and then walk away just as quickly as I came in. And I might do that 100 times. Why do I do that? Why do I scare the horse? Why do I make it freeze while I walk up to it? Because it was going to do that anyway. That's what's been put in it, like it's already in the horse. We've got to get it to come out of the horse. Now, an opposite idea would be walk up to that horse, see its concern and go, oh, I'm going to stop a little, wait a little until you soften and accept, and then I'm going to come up at a speed that is suitable for you. Well, the problem with that you've tipped all the anxiety out of the horse by you being good at what you're doing. The horse didn't tip its own anxiety out. Now, because I get people aware of shutting down horses and not wanting to shut them down, or what shut down horses are, not wanting them shut down, and frozen horses, and some people are actually scared when they see their horse freeze. But as I said before, your horse has already got it put in it. So you walking up to it, touching and going and touching and going 50,000 times, it'll show it that 50,000 times later, the horse hasn't been threatened, it hasn't died, you've walked away, it's had a bit of a breathe and go, oh, I didn't run away and escape. And then after a while I'll go, oh, you approaching me fast is not a problem. And that's the first thing, to get that horse to recognize that people have different energy, they bounce around differently, we all walk differently. Some of us don't understand animal psychology, some of us do, but all in all, a person's not coming up to you just to hit you just for the sake of it, okay? And if you can teach the people around you at least not to just chase your horse around for the sake of it, then your horse will start to trust people, but you don't have to tell everyone to be a guru to approach your horse. So you fix that idea of them approaching, or you approaching with energy, and then you start to kind of give it better alternatives under pressure. So if the horse has always wanted to run away from something, then what you're doing is you might shake a flag and the horse go, oh, I've got to get away from the flag. And you go, no, but you can follow this rope here if you want. And then the horse follows the rope a little bit. Then you might soften the flag and say, see, you can control the pressure by following a feel instead of running away. So you still have to present things to that horse that could set it up to think, oh, I remember this, I'm going to get... And then you go, no, that's not going to happen. Try this instead. And the horse goes, oh, righto, that didn't happen. So you have to expose them to kind of graded amounts of scary pressure and give them a better alternative that they had before, okay?
Have you ever, can you sort of give a story of a horse that you've come across that has been, previously abused, and you've been able to sort of change it? And how long does the process take?
Like a lesson with a lady I worked with this morning, just on an online lesson, like on a video lesson. She had a little red mare who was really kind of heavily chased with a flag, like the fact that you could step up like this with your energy, and it was terrified, thinking which way do I got to run. So I'll use that as the example because it's fresh in my mind, but it's a very clear example of, it doesn't matter if the horse has been beaten or whatever. And so she's been working with that little red mare and getting some really good results. But one of the lessons that we did with her is, we're going to walk up to you and we don't care how you feel about it. We do. Deep down we care how you feel about it, but we're going to pretend we don't care for now. And we just walked up to her and then touched her and then left and then touched her and left until eventually she went, They left as quickly as they came in, but then they didn't stay in and kind of keep me in a state of freeze. And then after a while, she started to soften and draw her thoughts towards us as we were walking up to her with more energy. Then we did it at Liberty. Now at Liberty, that was really a tougher lesson for us because we got fit doing it. But we followed her around, a bit like a bad smell follows you. And she goes, I don't like this. And then there was a point that she froze in the corner and didn't know what to do. And I just kept walking up and then I touched her and I left. And she went, what just happened there? I don't know what happened. I just froze and then he left again. And then after a while of doing that at Liberty, she went, oh, nothing happened. I didn't run away. Because what was initially happening with her was she was slowing down, listening to the mare's concern and always catching her using approach and retreat, in the sense that every time the mare got nervous, she waited a little until she could catch her. But this was taught fear as well as caution. It was taught fear. She might have been a cautious mare, but it was taught fear. So So then what happened in the clinic was quite cool. We were working with her and we just left her up at liberty while we were playing with another horse and doing something else. She may have had 2 horses. I can't remember anyway, but the mare just wandered over and she was just hanging around us like while we were working and doing other things and, you know, doing other education. And she didn't bother her coming over to where the trouble was to be around us, because she realised that us doing stuff wasn't personal. It wasn't personal at all. So you should be able to run up to your horse with lots of energy and a big smile on your face, not have to go, I'm smiling, but I'm going so cautiously, because every time I pick my energy up, the horse gets the wrong interpretation of that energy. And that's why I've been challenging horsemanship for so long, saying stop picking up your energy and pushing it into your horse to motivate your horse, because how are you going to pick up your energy and run to your horse in a bushfire, okay? You can't, because big energy means fear. So now that horse, she can guide her, she can process, she walks softly out in the saddle, she's starting to trot out nice without rushing, and she's just getting so much more relaxed, and now she can go down the paddock and catch her and not play some magical catching game all the time. And the mare's coming up to see her now to say, oh, g'day, you're not threatening. And yes, we did have to put her through, we're coming at you and we're not going to listen, but we'll touch and go, and we'll do it enough times to take away the old memory.
But you've managed to get the progress on it. So that's just to clarify that you did a virtual lesson, but you also have been helping this horse at clinics as well. Yeah. I was getting confused because you were popping yourself into the picture, and I was not quite sure what's going on there.
No, well, I just did a lesson with this particular person. That's all. I just remembered that her horse.
Well, that's some great insights for Anna and for Toby. So I hope that helps you both, and I hope that helps any of the other listeners out there that are doing fantastic jobs taking on these damaged horses and giving them a new home.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Australia's very own Mark Langley, a horseman with many insights from his decades of dabbling. Jump online to keep learning. marklangley.com.au